Today, we are going to be speaking with Paige Parker, one of the owners of Vibrant Health. I believe that Ted could not make it today. He sends his regards, but was unable to join us. So the purpose or the way that this session came about is really interesting. I was on the phone with Paige and Ted, and we were talking about some NetSuite issues they were having, and uh, some wants and some needs around building out the system. And I just noticed this beautiful background. And today it's like people are putting up these backgrounds, right? And they're working in an office, they're working on the beach, but the background was moving. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're actually like in a tropical paradise. Now I know your organization is up in Connecticut. What's going on there? And Paige and Ted told me that they had made a big, significant move during the COVID pandemic, and were working from someplace far away from their office. And I'm not going to spoil it. I'm going to let Paige come on board, and we're going to start the conversation about how Vibrant Health made the shift to remote during COVID, and how NetSuite really helped facilitate that. So, Paige, how's it going? Are you with us?
Hi, Craig. Hi, everybody. Yes, I'm with you, and I'm happy to be here to join and partake in this wonderful expo. But I am very sad that I am no longer in Bermuda with the
Oh,
ocean and the palm trees. So thank you for reminding me, because I will tell you, my heart aches every day to rest my eyes on that beautiful ocean, and just the they call it Bermudaful. That's
mm,
that's the term that folks have dubbed it, because it's just such a stunningly beautiful place to be in. And yes, because of NetSuite and because of our amazing team, when COVID hit and Connecticut was a shelter in place, we were able to pivot immediately, and I mean within days, to a remote model where I think, if I recall, I want to say it was a Thursday, Friday of that week in March, when the governor made the edict that we were going to shelter in place. And I think by Monday, we were ready. Business was ready to go. Yeah, we had some glitches with our phone system and some connectivity issues, but as far as operationally, we were ready to rock and roll. And so, I thank you guys for your support through the whole, COVID epidemic and the transition, and all of the things that you did in the background to make sure that we were able to continue operating our business without fail. And, our team, I have a fantastic team here. Our NetSuite administrator, Paula Boglin, Sarah Pignatella, who's our office manager, really like stepped up immediately and made sure that we had everything necessary to continue operating, a fully staffed and strong wholesale corporation. So yeah, it's been fantastic.
awesome,
And I
Paige.
and,
I'm
I,
going to
and I'm
ask you.
and I want to show
Sorry,
you
go
where
ahead.
I'm sitting now, because it's not fun at all. Um, but I'm in the corporate office back in Connecticut.
Back in Connecticut, in front of the master whiteboard.
The master whiteboard, exactly.
All right. Well, I was going to ask you to turn on your video, but that reveal was perfect. So thank you for that. All right, let's give everybody a little bit of context. You gave us some really great overview of kind of what the situation was, but you are a wholesale distribution organization, right? So you've got front office, back office, and warehouse. Um, Obviously, when there's physical labor to be done, like in the warehouse, you had to make some concessions on fully remote. And I know that you had a skeleton crew in house at the warehouse. Um, so obviously you and Ted went down to Bermuda. You were able to run operations and finance through your remote, dialing into a cloud SaaS product,
Mhm.
using NetSuite at the core. your other teams in marketing and sales and sort of the front end, front office were able to, um, again, make that shift to remote and not necessarily have to make the commute into the office to get their job done. What did you guys do with the warehouse? How did that work out?
Yeah, the warehouse remained open. They were considered essential workers. So they were fully operational. We had 7 individuals working full time. Um, so the orders got processed as they normally do in NetSuite. And, they were shipped, sent right through the system, right to pick and pack. And like I mentioned earlier, there was things went without a glitch. They were able to pick and pack as if we were sitting in the same office space in the same building and running the operation pre-COVID.
Awesome. Awesome. So not only were you dealing with let's go remote, let's make this pivot, but your products were in huge demand all of a sudden, right? Because you are a health and lifestyle company with products that support immune systems and healthy diets, and so you've got this perfect storm happening. Supply chains everywhere are being disrupted, logistics are more difficult, it's hard to get the inputs like packaging and materials and things of that nature, and demand is going through the roof. So again, kind of in the context of how NetSuite helped you react to these situations, how did you go from a baseline of sales and sort of expectations year over year to significant growth and being able to tackle that as a remote organization?
So yes, our products were in demand. The company has been around we're about to celebrate 30 years in the natural product industry. And we started this industry, it started in the industry making a supplement called Green Vibrance, which is a powdered superfood that supports the 4 foundations of health. So your nutrition, your digestion, your circulation, and immunity. So those are the tenets of good health. Without the 4 of those, how can you really say that you are achieving vibrant health? In addition to that core product, we have about 29 other SKUs, and we have a significant portfolio of immune supplements that prior to COVID didn't do very well. Once COVID hit last year, we experienced 400% growth on those immune products. And overall, the company had experienced 27% growth through 2020. So biggest growth year for us in the last 30 years. And we were able to keep up in terms of the demand, in terms of the orders coming in, but we just couldn't keep up with the inventory. We could not get inventory products made fast enough to fulfill the orders. So what we ended up doing is just putting some caps on the different SKUs that we couldn't, manage effectively. And we were able to kind of mitigate how long we'd be out of stock and deal with some of the other challenges in the supply chain to effectively support our retailers. And again, being able to manage this all remotely was by far convenient because of the NetSuite platform.
Yeah, I'm hearing similarly that for companies that were in high demand products and services during the pandemic, these direct to consumer avenues that allowed, e-commerce corporations, distributors, wholesalers, retailers to get products directly into the hands of customers, that unfortunately business was left on the table, right? Because of the interruptions in logistics and supply. And then smack dab in the middle of all that, we had the Suez Canal blocked up for for like a month, right? So
Right.
just when we feel like we're starting to get our handle on, you know, uh, raw materials and finished goods coming over from overseas, and we get another slap in the face, right? So, I mean, it's sad that that business was left on the table, but congratulations, that growth in both your product categories and year over year for the company is just fantastic.
Well, thank you.
So it seems like we're now starting to come out of this. You're back in the office. Restrictions are being lifted. Um, can you describe the impact that the pandemic has had on your organizational thinking as a whole? I mean, are you prepared to go fully remote? Are you
I so love this question right now because I'm sure that I am not alone. All we've been thinking about, Ted and I, is how do we pivot now from fully remote for a year and 18 months to bringing back the team into a space where we can commune, we can brainstorm, we can connect. How do we make that transition? Especially and particularly difficult because we did so well remotely.
it's a
Now,
double-edged sword, right?
it's such a
Because
double-edged sword. I've
yeah.
never been a proponent of remote work. I've always thought we need to be in the office. We need to be able to have a quick conversation and not have to schedule everything. And there's so much idea generation that happens on the fly that doesn't happen when you have to schedule meetings. And once that meeting is over, so that's the end of that conversation. So for the last, I want to say the last month, I mean, we've been back for about a month now. We've looked at different scenarios. Okay. I don't think we can come back to a 5-day work week. I think we've all learned that there is a lot of productivity that is to be had, is particularly depends on what your role is in the organization. Like your IT person doesn't have to be on site. Because again, if you have the right system and the right infrastructure, you can manage and problem solve from anywhere in the world.
Mhm.
But the other folks that are in sales and that are in marketing, I think it's imperative that we bring these teams back together again. So we're looking at a hybrid.
Mhm.
We're looking at coming back on a 2-day-a-week basis, and you get to work from home the other 3 days. And so October 1st is officially when we bring the team back, and we're going to do it in an alternative type of scheduling so that not everybody is here at the same time. And we're going to see how that goes. But I have to tell you, Craig, that the crocodile tears are coming. And why it's been working? Why do we have to come back? And I, like I told the team, there are benefits to both. There are benefits to the remote world and there's benefits to being in the office. So let's try to come to a happy medium that's going to be in the best interest of the organization.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have been nice if we were all prepared for this. Like if we got 3 months to ramp up and say, hey guys, in 3 months, everybody in the world is going to have to go remote. I think there would have been different software solutions. I think there would have been conversations about how do we maintain those water cooler moments and the camaraderie. Um, and Zoom stepped in and tried to fill a gap, and other technologies like Slack and Microsoft Teams
Mhm.
filling some of those gaps. But I think adoption took a long time for most people. I mean, you guys seem to have ramped up pretty quickly, but adoption of those new paradigms took a while to get comfortable with. And throughout all of it, like March, oh, we'll be back in April, things are going well, like we'll figure it all out. I don't think until we were 5, 6 months in did we really realize where we were, right? And
Sure.
how fundamentally life changing the last year 2020 was, right?
Mhm.
So you know I'm in total agreement with you that there are experiences and there are I mean, look at the user group that we're in. This is an in-person event. Not
Sure.
we run 4 in-person events a year, and we really revel in the fact that we get to spend time with our colleagues and our peers. Um, so even our shift to the virtual format isn't ideal, right? We acknowledge that we lost some of that networking and that face to face aspects of it, and we didn't have anything to replace it with. So I think that your approach to a hybrid work environment where, look, we want you back, people. We want to see your faces. We want to share, the same space with you and experiences. I think it's really great, but also your approach is lenient compared to a lot of other companies that we're seeing. JP Morgan Chase wants everybody back in the office 3 weeks ago, full time.
Or
And if you work for JP Morgan Chase, it's not 9 to 5. So but yeah, can you just give us a little bit more insight into the risk versus reward of having to go back to quote unquote normal?
so I think that the risk is, of course, having, like you said, some people, it took a few months for them to adopt to working from home. Sorry, but many folks were adopters right away because it's something that they had yearned for since joining our organization. Some people were doing a commute of about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes to the office. In fact, we were located in a remote part of Connecticut, in Litchfield County, in a hamlet called Canaan. And Ted and I used to commute an hour and a half each way.
Wow.
And yes, and so now when we moved to Shelton, we did lose, I would say, 25% of the team that we had, but there were people that were so committed to the organization that they continued to do that commute so that they could remain a member of our organization. So when we decided to go remote, it was a gift. They were thrilled, and were able to show us and prove to us that they could be more productive, that they were working longer hours, and they were able to keep up with the demands of the business without error, without making mistakes, without dropping the ball. So many of those folks I've had one-on-ones with, and they've said, well, I really don't know why if I'm just coming back to plug in my computer, why would you make me come back? And, no matter how, no matter how honest you are with them, and how you paint the picture of the value of that being together again, and how it helps with our culture, which is very important at Vibrant Health. I've worked very hard to develop a strong culture. The other thing is, when you bring new people on, it's very hard to onboard them in a remote environment. So, the risk is you bring on people that you lose because they never connect, right? And things don't ever click. But then the risk again is forcing people to come back who have really enjoyed and thrived in this remote environment. So, I mean, I have to say that I'm going to stress to them, Ted and I are going to stress to them that we hear you, we know that it works. And that's why we're being thoughtful and mindful in bringing you back in a kind of modified manner, and not saying you need to get back here Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. So I think the reward, though, in bringing them back, Ted and I used to meet with the marketing team every week, and the ideas that would be generated, I cannot say that has happened since we went remote. There are things that we get in the mail or things we collect that we want to share with the team because maybe we like the packaging. It doesn't translate over, the Zoom call. So, so I think that we'll regain that. And because we have not only survived during COVID, but we've thrived. We have the mentality right now that we want to get prepared for 2022, 2023, 2024. We have had so much attention on our business with the initiatives at all of these big box stores and all of these big brands that have committed to doing a certain portion of business with a Black-owned company. So we're getting calls from Sephora, CVS, Target, Walgreens, Sam's Club. So I want to make sure that we're poised to go enterprise-wide in these new retail partners. And we can't do that, honestly, on being remote. It just, we need to have all hands on deck.
Yeah, it sounds like in a period of, real, if you look into the crystal ball and you're seeing where this is going to lead, that it seems like you're going to need to scale up, you're going to need to train up, you're going to need to bring new people on board, and all of that goes back to culture. And I think that's probably the biggest loss leader in the COVID, and post-COVID environment, is that culture. And some employees will say, well, culture is the fact that I don't have a commute anymore, and that makes me feel better. But that's not really what it comes down to. That's a perk of remote work, but it look, I've worked remote almost my entire career, so I understand that when you need somebody to reach out to and bounce an idea off of, and you've got to schedule that as a Zoom meeting, it's not the same synergy as when you just walk across the hall and say, I got an idea, you got a second, so
And
totally
Craig,
appreciate it.
not to mention, you are in more Zoom meetings than than I can recall in the last 15 years. I mean,
Right.
there are days that I sit in this chair and I'm on a Zoom call beginning from 8:30 a.m. and I'm not finished until 6:30. And yes, so that affects you as well.
Yeah.
I think that is draining physically, mentally, emotionally, cognitively. So, and people tend to, they work longer. I think it's not healthy to be attached to your computer for so many hours a day without breaks. And being in an office forces you to get up and walk around and go to the restroom and eat your lunch and things like that. But you mentioned something about culture. Culture is so vitally important to the health, no pun intended, but it also has so much to do with the growth of the brand. If
Mhm.
your team is tied in to your culture and they're living it, they're breathing it, they're speaking it, that is the difference between, growing just kind of slowly or exponentially.
Mhm.
And some of the things that we do here, speaking of culture, is we do Wellness Wednesdays. And we would cater or cook something healthy for the whole team.
Mhm.
And we would eat communally. We would have our lunch together. We would have a speaker come in and they would do a lunch and learn. We would have a massage therapist come in and the entire team would get 10-minute massages. And then we would do a happy hour. Those are things that you can't do if you're remote. So those are the things that are lost in the sauce, so to speak, that
Well,
add to your culture.
come October, I'm visiting Vibrant Health on Wednesdays from now on.
It's the first Wednesday of every month.
All right. Well, you will only see me on the first Wednesday then.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. We're talking a lot about culture, and business. And I think, this is a NetSuite user group, right? So technology, I think, has a big part in our ability to go remote, our ability to get our jobs done, to be more efficient. But I think providing the right technology footprint or technology infrastructure is a big part of culture too. When people are frustrated with their systems, when people have problems and it takes IT 5 days to turn it around into a solution, like it's really depressing and demoralizing, somewhat like endless Zoom meetings, right? Um, so can you speak a little bit about how NetSuite at the core of your business is just, look, we know it affects logistics and shipping. We know it affects product management and inventory, and we know it affects, how you sell and service, but how does it affect the people side of the equation? Do your people enjoy working on the platform, and has it made a difference and impact on the people side of the organization?
To be quite transparent, like I don't really work in NetSuite at all. And but I do know that we left the Fishbowl. We were using Fishbowl as our platform before for inventory management and for our ERP. And it was very difficult. There were so many limitations with that platform that we decided to move on to. And we interviewed several different platforms and landed with NetSuite. And I will tell you, that it's easy to learn. It's very intuitive, and it's made what we're doing here and our ability to scale very seamless. Now, the other day we talked about, possibly, looking at, don't get upset, another system. But my CFO said, listen, he said, there's nothing broken here, and you can double your business. We're at $31 million this year. And he said, Paige, you could double. Our goal is to get to 75 million in 5 years. He said, you can do that on NetSuite. It is scalable, and it is so easy to use that there's no reason we would need to go on to another platform.
Yeah, I think when in our CEO panel before, which I saw you in the background, you turned your camera on. I think you wanted to be a part of that one too. And next time,
I wasn't sure if I was a part of the panel.
Next time you're going to be on the CEO panel as well. But Omri Moore was also talking similarly about, what he loved about the ecosystem is that you can get in there as a $10 million company, but as you grow to a $150 million company, the solution is there for you throughout the whole journey. So that's awesome. All right, Paige, we're going to wrap up. I really, really appreciate you coming on board and talking to us today. I think you're very insightful. I think the experience that you had was unique. And so congratulations for growing and thriving during a difficult time. Is there anything, we have a pretty mixed audience here today. We have operations professionals, finance professionals, logistics people, maybe back-end admin, marketing, sales. If you could drop one great tidbit of knowledge or one, best practice for everybody to appreciate, what do you have to leave us with today?
Oh, let's see. You should always be in a growth mindset. If your organization is designed to do what you're doing now, then you'll always do what you're doing now. And if you build your organization for growth, then you will be on the path for extreme growth and success in the future. So I think that that's kind of where we are as an organization. And just to end with that, because we went remote, we were able to acquire talent from elsewhere, right? Not in our backyard, which we were limited to doing before. So we brought in some key people from Florida, one person from California, and in just developing that leadership, brain trust, we're already seeing some significant growth in areas where we were struggling before. So, you have to build your business for growth. And if you have the right people with the passion and the work ethic to drive your business, then the sky is the limit.
Awesome. So it's not kind of just about like The Secret that we all learned about like back in, the early 2000s. You can't just put it out there into the world, right? You have to plan for it. Yep. You have to envision it in a way that is tactical, right? So that step by step, you're saying, this is how I'm going to get there, right?
Correct. Yep.
Awesome. Well, Paige, thank you so much. I wish Ted was with us today. I'm sure he's doing something really important. We missed him.
He's golfing. No, but he's doing a fundraiser.
Okay.
A golfing fundraiser.
I'll accept that answer. Okay. and tell him thank you. Right. And I hope he swung him straight and raised a lot of money.